welcome back to our second episode of the Sunshine and Rain podcast. I'm Mia.
I'm MP.
Today's episode is going to be about Sabath Rest. I'm going to pray for us, and then we're just going to hop right in. Okay. Dear Lord, I just thank you so much for this time where we get to just share you with others. Lord, we're so blessed to be able to do it. Lord, I ask that you prepare our hearts and prepare the hearts of those who are listening, and that this could be a time where they hear from you. And Lord, I ask that you would use us to speak about you and to not do anything that would honor us, but that all that we do is from you, Lord. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Beautiful. Okay. I think my first, so basically,
you're taking the lead on this episode.
I prepared this episode and like our intentions for it and everything, and then we just get to kind of talk about it. So I've
which is how I think we're gonna do the rest of our formatting episodes. Is one of us is gonna prepare more than the other, so it's not, so it's more conversational. One, and then also we just got done with midterms, and
I was so busy before with school. Actually insane.
It was a lot.
So we're just gonna be like a lot more chill with it, I think.
Which is what we want. Like, we don't want, we're not giving sermons, and us having a conversation with someone who prepared it more than the other one will help us with that. So
yeah, absolutely. Okay. I think basically the first thing we should talk about is just establishing what is this? Like, what is Sabath Rest? I want to hear yours first.
I've always grown up thinking that it was just Sunday, but then as I've gotten older and learned more, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
What was your train of thought?
I thought that it was just like every Sunday.
Yeah.
So but as I've grown up and learned more about the Bible, I realized that on our calendar year, it's not Sunday. Is that right? That it wasn't a Sunday, it was actually Saturday.
Oh, I have no clue.
Okay, I think I could be wrong. I probably am wrong, but I think I remember learning in school or in youth group growing up that it's not actually Sunday. That we've just made it a calendar year Sunday. But also that through us living together and us being friends, I've learned more of it's not just the day to go to church, it's the day to truly rest and not leave it as a day to do homework or finish up assignments or do anything that is taxing or a lot of effort. But yeah, I didn't know that until recently. So, which I feel like not a lot of people that I know truly know what a Sabbath, what Sabbath day is, and Sabbath rest is. So
yeah,
I feel like this is going to be educational for me and our listeners.
I hope so. I think for me, I kind of use it as I'm always just it's my day of rest, and I'm okay, I'm resting on that day, but then I've lately just been okay, in what ways am I resting on that day? Because is it truly restful for me to sit there and veg out and do nothing all day?
Yeah.
Or is it better for me to have a little bit of structure in my day, hang out with friends, do those kinds of things, and then also trying to learn more about what does the Bible say rest is? Who do we get rest from? How do we find rest? What does that really look like? Has been a lot of learning lately. I guess let me open.
We're opening the Bible.
We're open Hebrews, because we were talking about this in my community group. I gotta find it though. But we were talking about rest, specifically Sabbath rest. I think it's in. Yeah. basically
What's the
Hebrews
passage?
4.
Okay. Yeah, I was just
Oh, okay. Basically Hebrews 4 is just talking about like specifically the Lord's rest and what that looks like, and that if you don't have the Lord, basically you can't have his rest as well. And so I think that was something really powerful for me to learn, is that like, yes, people can find rest, and yes, like the world will try to give you different ways of resting, but like the Lord's rest is so much different and it's so much more perfect.
Yeah, it's the worldly anything is gonna be not as good as what God can give us.
Right.
So,
Exactly. Let's see, which part do I actually want to read? Um
but yeah. Do 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 do.
yeah, rude. I'm reading the Bible, trying to be intentional. Whatever. Okay, here. I'll just start from the beginning. Basically, it's the first like 5 verses. So, therefore, since the promise of entering his rest still stands, let us be careful that none of you be found to have fallen short of it. For we also have had the good news proclaimed to us, just as they did. But the message they heard was of no value to them, because they did not share the faith of those who obeyed. Now, we who have believed enter that rest, just as God had said. So I declared on oath in my anger, they shall never enter my rest. And yet his works have been finished since the creation of the world. For some for somewhere he has spoken about the seventh day in these words: on the seventh day, God rested from all his works. And again, in the passage above, he says, they shall never enter my rest. So basically, like, this part of Hebrews 4, like, points back to Genesis, and the creation of the world, where, like, it's talking about how the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and he did that over 6 days, and then on the seventh day he rested from the work that he did. But then it also says that, like, out of an anger of disobedience, he doesn't allow those who do not have faith in him to have his rest, which I think is also really powerful. Of like, one of the things that God is the least favorable with, I guess is the best way to put it, is he does not like when people disobey him. And that's out of, after giving people a multitude of grace and mercy and second chances and things like that. And yet still he
wouldn't be just if he just we have a our Lord is a loving and just God,
right.
and everybody talks about how loving he is, which is great and true and needs to be talked about, and I love that I grew up in a church talking about that.
Right.
But he would not be a good God if he didn't uphold rules. And so him being unfavorable and angry of disobedience is like a father. Like if you have a good father, he will be angry with you when you disobey,
Yeah, exactly.
but he will forgive you, which is what our
Yeah,
Lord does. And
exactly.
it is our choice because he gave us free will to follow him, and if we don't, that is our choice, and we have to deal with the consequences of that.
I agree.
But back to rest.
I agree. I mean, I think that's a good point to talk about, though, because that's a lot of, I guess for me, what I've been learning. Like, I've been reading in Micah, and I literally couldn't tell you why. I just picked it one day, and it's actually been really interesting. But basically, just the Lord is like, I have literally let y'all, like, he's like, I have given you more chances than I should have, and now I'm finally going to follow through on what I told you, because you have disobeyed. Like, you're going to be exiled and like taken out of the land that I had once brought you to.
Yeah.
He's like, you can't do this anymore. I'm going to let your enemies destroy you. But I have a plan to prosper you. And he has, like, in Micah, like, he is one of the minor prophets of the Old Testament. And so he gets to be this prophesizing voice of the Lord and talk about how and the Lord gets to speak through him, that he still has a plan for them, and that even though like they have to go through this period of exile from their land and like not being a unified kingdom anymore, he still has like ways that he's going to bring them back. He's going to like turn them into this powerful force where they are defeating their enemies, and he's going like again reemphasizes that Jesus is coming back. And so it's just been really like powerful to read that, and powerful to see that like the Lord is super intentional, and he doesn't just like do things without thinking about like what's going to happen next. Like he has everything planned for us. And I just think that's really powerful. I mean, same thing. I'm totally going off on a tangent right now, but I get that. Well, yeah. But I mean, we see that in Genesis as well. Of like Adam and Eve did not like fall, and then the Lord was like, "Oh no, like I need to figure out what to do about this." Like the fall happened, they made their decision, and he was like, "Don't worry, I already have a plan." Like he already knew what was going to happen for them, for in the entirety of humanity to prosper. So,
no, yeah.
all that to say, the Lord is intentional, and another way that he was intentional was in Genesis when he rested. And I was kind of talking about this with my mentor of like, we don't rest. Like
we don't live in a culture
that Jesus, no, that's not what I'm saying. God did not rest on the seventh day because he needed rest. Like that was not why he rested. He rested because he saw that his work was complete and that it was perfect. And he also knew that one day we would need an example of rest. He knew that we were going to be exhausted and broken, and sin was going to riddle the world with stress and anxiety and all of these things. And we were going to need to take time to intentionally rest with him. So
we also don't live in a culture that lets us rest in the most beneficial ways, because we live in just a go mindset of like, okay, you just finished high school, the next thing is college, the next thing is grad school, the next thing is getting a job. Like there's no, okay, you just finished high school or you just finished college, look at what you did, sit in it and appreciate it. Or like,
so true.
With school assignments, there's not, most teachers don't give a grace period of like, we just had a big test, y'all deserve a break.
Excuse me.
And so yes, the world will give you rest of like, oh, it's a great idea to veg out and sleep in until 2 in the afternoon.
It'll give you the world's idea of rest.
Yeah. And me in the past like couple months of being super intentional and like looking in the Bible for rest and like what that's supposed to look like has been so much more restful.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And like rejuvenating and energy giving and joy giving than like anything that I've been doing before, of sleeping until noon and like whatever. And I do sleep in sometimes. I need to, but
which I do that too. I mean, like Saturdays are like the one day that I get to sleep in, which are the days that I choose to have my Sabbath on.
Which is what we started doing.
Exactly.
Because we record these on Sundays.
So therefore, like we're producing something, which, oh, well, I find it funny that we're recording on a Saturday this time.
But there is to record Sundays, so we've tried to make Saturdays our rest day.
Yes. And same with like, I would choose to do Fridays as well. Like, I feel like that could be a good day for me, but like, because I have school, I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
So like, it has to be on either Saturday or Sunday. And sometimes on Sundays I serve with church. Like, so.
Which nothing that we're talking about is bad. It's great. Just in moderation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is the case with almost everything.
Yeah. And also I feel like for me, what I've learned a lot from different just like pastors, like in cross church, is that your Sabbath should be a day where you cease production. So like for me, like school or this podcast or like cleaning, like
Yes.
all of those things are producing something. And so like your Sabbath, for what I've learned, should be a day where you're not doing those things. And a really good way that a mentor that I was talking about all of this with described it to me is that you should be doing the things that help you delight in the Lord better. And I was like, oh, that is
It's
powerful.
powerful.
I was like, oh my gosh. I don't know if I told you about that, but that was
You did, because
yeah.
this is why I changed
Yeah.
my mentality on it, is like, you were so excited that you just learned this
Mhm.
new form of rest, and were like,
Mhm.
"Oh my gosh," and then I was like, "I'm gonna implement it too."
Right.
That's
Yeah.
just who we are.
Exactly. It's like
One of us
one
is
person
doing it.
learns things and then we're like, I'm stealing that.
Exactly. Which is only, like, because we have Christ at the center of our friendship,
Yeah,
is that,
absolutely.
like, we keep each other accountable all the time in loving ways,
Mhm.
and we're not gonna give some specific examples, but there are some very specific examples that come to mind, but,
Yeah.
yeah, just calling each other out of, like,
Um,
everything.
everything that life entails,
Yeah.
we're
Yes.
comfortable calling each other out,
Yes.
which is good because accountability is so important.
Yes, and, yeah, I felt like I was just like, "You know what? I'm so anxious all the time and amped up anyways that I have to actually
Mhm.
plan out my rest and plan out
Mhm.
of, like, I cannot let myself produce anything on
Right.
Saturdays."
Right.
And then and I'm only gonna do things that make me happy and get me out of the house and get me sunshine.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
and that has, like, transformed my weekends of, like, setting me up better for the rest of the week and, like, actually being able to sleep most of the time.
Mhm.
So
It also, I feel like, takes the load off for me, like, on a
yeah,
Friday night when I know that, like, "Oh my gosh, tomorrow there's no pressure to do anything."
anything
Like, the only thing that, like, need in any sort of level needs to get accomplished.
is we need to eat.
No, I was gonna say I need to read my Bible. And I need
That's
to
also
spend
very
time with the
important.
Lord.
Yes.
I was gonna say that, like, yes, obviously, like, food, basic necessities, but I'm like, "Okay, yeah." I'm like, "But I need to
Let's do
spend time
some
with the
milk out
Lord."
of that. There's
More like food, which, like, is so valid because food and water are, like, they keep us alive. But my thought was, like, I need to spend time with the
I
Lord
just
because,
forget to
like
eat. So I just That's the one thing that
okay, we
it should be two it should be 2 different it should be like Lord, then eat, because like, through Jesus going 40 fasting 40 days, we don't need food as much as we think we do. But
well,
he was fasting for the Lord, and so
yes.
it's not just, like, forgetting to eat. So
Yeah. So, there's a big difference between, like, denying
denying
yourself
the
of, like,
flesh of
your pleasure, like, the
yeah,
things that bring you pleasure and, like, things like that, which, like, food can be included in that. Like, it
and
typically is
just forgetting
the
to
epitome
eat.
of yeah, these are 2 very, very, very different things.
Yeah, there agreed. But
Gosh.
no,
Anyway,
that's
yeah.
so much for both of us.
Yeah,
I
it was
don't
definitely a
think
really heavy week.
I don't even think I was not good about eating until, like, Thursday
Mm,
night.
that's hard. Well, because then you were finally like, "Oh my gosh, I can breathe. My
Yeah.
stuff is done." Like, you just get so, like, focused. I mean, I do too, like, we
No,
get so focused on, like, school
I zone
tasks
in
or
on
life
things.
tasks or whatever it is of, like, "This has to get done, we have to get it done now." I mean, I was the same way, like, I had 3 tests this week. I
Yeah.
literally, like, had so much going on, and, like, still, like, the most important thing that I ever did this week was taking small moments to rest with the Lord. Like, that truly, because of, like okay, well, another part of, like, kind of what I've been thinking about with, like, Sabbath rest is that, like, it doesn't have to only be on Saturdays. It can and should continue throughout your week as
Yeah,
well, and, like,
that's the
doing
point.
things that, like, help you delight in the Lord, and so I was trying to, like, kinda implement that this week because I know the last time I had a really big test week, like I allowed it to like fully take over me, and it just like wasn't healthy. And I was like, school is not everything that I am. Like I don't need to let it be that. And like, yes, it's important. Yes, it's like why I'm here doing what I'm doing, like in college, but like it's not, it doesn't define me. Like the Lord is what defines me. And so I'm like,
Did you see a big difference?
oh my gosh, yes. It's been huge of just like I also think my teacher changing the test time to 8 a.m. to whenever you wanted it helps a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But
I saw before
no,
we pushed that out, I saw the
I mean, even on
energy.
Tuesday, like when I was going into my test, like that night, like
You were a lot calmer.
I was much more calm. Also because I prepared in advance. Like I actually spent time preparing in advance, and like there was just a lot more, I think, intentionality going into this test week than there was last time. So I think that really helped me. But like taking little moments of like I always complain on my Tuesday, Thursday idioms of like, oh, like I don't have time to like spend with the Lord in the morning. Like it's when I prefer to do my quiet times. And I was like, no, like I just don't have time. And then because I tell myself I don't have time in the mornings, I tend to not make the time for the rest of my day. And so I was like, girl, no, you need like maybe 20 minutes. And most of the time you sit there on your phone for 15 while you're waiting for it to hit 7:30 to leave for class. Like, I was like, dude, I have time. Like, I'm being silly here. And so I was like, no,
Mindset's a
like
big
I'm
deal.
gonna do that. I was like, it doesn't like my quiet time doesn't always have to be an hour long. Now, do I want it to be that all the time? Yes, because I love like studying and really getting into my word, just because like understand. I'm a total nerd with this stuff sometimes of like, I want to understand all the cross references and where in history this is taking place. And like, I just want to know all the context for everything. And so it's hard sometimes for me to be like,
sweet.
no, just like read it. Like just read the Bible. Like
You're better off
okay.
reading for 20 minutes than not doing it.
I agree. And also like during those 20 minutes, I always find time to like be intentional with prayer. So what I've been doing is I've been praying through a psalm on the mornings that I don't feel like I have like tons of time to like read, like continue reading in Micah because she's a little hefty. And so I downloaded this like it like organized all the psalms into like different little categories about like topics that they were talking about. And so some like there's like a list of ones that are like good to read in the morning. And so I've like picked a different one.
Nice.
And like just like sitting through that and praying on it and like praying like the words over like my life and like and others' lives too. Like I've been finding myself like praying it over the other people in my life. And like anyway, that was a really long way to say that like I'm finding ways to delight in the Lord that are smaller and like throughout my week, so that I've been trying so that I can find rest within my week instead of only having rest like on my Saturdays.
Which also shows that like you don't have to go like going to church is so important because it gives you community, accountability, and like in the Bible it is mentioned many times of how important community is.
Right.
And intentionality is with the Lord. And so I'm not saying like don't go to church. You should go, people should go to church. But God can leave that building with you, which is like partly why I love yoga is because I'm spending that hour
Right.
meditating as I'm moving my body and just being like, Jesus, be beside me in this and give me the strength to do this, which like I should do throughout my day, but I do not.
I think meditation is really powerful though.
No,
especially like oh my gosh. There was something that I learned. She's a saint. Maybe it was Mother Teresa, maybe it was Saint Teresa of Lisieux. I don't remember which one. It was one of the two. But they were talking about how like she could sit on the word family and think about just the word family for like an hour. And I was like, that's crazy to me.
I don't know.
I was like,
can do
I
that.
think that's so powerful though. But like, she would think about like how the church is a family, what does the Lord look like as a family in your life? What does what do the people in your life look like as a family? How can you be praying over family? How can you be praying over other families? Like, it just was like this deep, deep dive into just the word family and everything that could encompass it.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's just so powerful, I think. So I think it's really powerful that you take that hour, like, to just meditate on the Lord.
When I'm not going to it, and I'm a different.
Yeah.
I have a different energy. I have a different like mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And one, I'm getting endorphins, and it's good for my body to work out and like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
You know, all that, whatever. That
all the other stuff, all the worldly benefits. But like, yes, the like westernized yoga classes, especially in like Fayetteville, Arkansas, and like America. Now, there's exceptions to this, but aren't grounded in Hinduism or like where yoga is based at. I was talking with my pastor about this a lot because I was going back and forth on if I should even be practicing yoga. And he was like, why don't you just bring Jesus into the room with you?
Real.
I was like, you know what? That's a good point. He was like, you just listed off 10 reasons why yoga is good for you. Like, this is not a bad thing, and you can be honoring the Lord through this. And so, like, why not just use it as an hour meditation?
Yeah.
Which is what I've been doing. And since I've been doing that, not only has my practice gotten better, but like I've just set my day up better.
Mm-hmm.
Which I haven't really been going this week, which is fine.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of, one, I just haven't been disciplined enough, and then two, things keep coming up where I'm just not. I have to pick and choose between sleep and yoga, and I'm 100% of the time going to pick sleep. So,
well, also because like sleep deprivation is
I've had sleep deprivation. It's not
worse.
It's a lot worse.
Yeah, literally, you left weekend.
Yeah, I got like 2 hours of sleep.
That was
Thursday night.
Yeah, it was Thursday.
I don't know how I got through that day.
No,
but I was not happy.
It was at like 7:00, and she was like, "I'm going to bed," and I was like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "I got 2 hours of sleep last night."
And then I ended up not going to bed and staying up till the night.
We didn't. We stayed up talking and listened to a podcast.
Watched a podcast YouTube video. And it was so good because that was restful. That was
restful. That's so true.
I stayed up for 2 hours, and this is a great example.
Exactly.
But from like 8 to midnight, we were spending time in like the Lord's presence.
Honestly, yeah.
And it was very restful. And then I got the best night's sleep of my life after that.
I absolutely love it. Well, because also something that like, I kind of keep saying this, but like delighting in the Lord is like
it's important
what we should be doing on rest. Like that is how we find rest. We delight in the Lord. And when I was asked this question by my mentor, like a girl who mentors me, she was explaining how like her and her husband, one of their biggest delights in life is their son. And so they, on their rest day, they make sure to spend time with him because spending time with him is how they delight in the Lord. They get outside, they get in his creation, they just go do intentional things with their son. And so then she challenged me. She was like, what is something that you think the Lord has like provided in your life that like helps you delight more in him? And literally without skipping a beat, I said, Mary Porter. I was like, she's one of the number one things that like, I don't know where I would be, what I would be doing, and who I would be without you in my life. Like truly, like the Lord has used you to work in my life more than I ever thought like possible. Also, we've already talked about this, which is why people are crying.
But I'm glad we did talk about this before. But like the night where I only got 2 hours of sleep, we were talking about this because we were watching a Girls Gone Bible podcast.
Yeah, they had
Allie
and Ashley. I literally been looking at her last name all week and I already forgot it. Huntington might be her last name, something like that.
And we just kept pausing it and being like, "This is us!" Like all the time,
literally.
And like
it was
talking, and it brought good conversation. I would say that was like one of the best friendship nights that we've had in a long
time. Yeah, I agree. But I mean, we were able to take those moments and delight in the things that the Lord provided to us.
Yes, which
I
is
think that's
probably
what
why
made it so
it was
beautiful.
the best friendship night we've ever
Exactly.
had, because we and we're bringing the Lord into
Yeah.
that night
And
completely.
we like challenged ourselves in things that we were
Yeah.
believing, and like, I don't know, it was just
We
really
shared more of our
good.
testimonies with each other,
Exactly.
which we'll do a testimony episode
Yeah.
later
But
on. But no, I would say the exact same thing, which is crazy because we both just didn't realize it. How we
Mhm.
were, we had
the
no
impact
clue.
that we had truly had on each
And
other's
we were
lives.
both like to each other, of course, duh.
Yeah.
And like genuinely, neither one of us knew. And
Yeah.
it was just so beautiful. Like we
Mhm.
just cried,
Yeah.
and we're like, "I love you." Like it was just so,
Exactly.
like I'm tearing up talking about it right now, but like I'm actually very happy we're not video. But yeah, like you have guided me and like led me in like diving deep into the Bible, and
Can I move this? Sorry.
yeah,
I
and
we're
then
having a very sweet sentiment.
diving
I'm sorry if
deep
that
into
was
the
loud.
Bible. Sorry, audio. But diving deep and just like challenging the way I think about things in a biblical sense, which has been
Right.
so important and so needed in my life. Because, like, I've never met anyone that's dove deep like you've like, truly, I've never met anybody in my life that I've, like, could be completely honest with that, like, wanted to make their whole world about Jesus and life about Jesus, which is what we're called to do. We're called to be disciples, not just believe that he's our savior,
Right. Right.
which is what I'm going through with my mentor. We're going through a book right now called Practicing the Way. Highly recommend. But you are a great example of that. Like you truly get up in the morning. It like life's about Jesus to when you go to sleep. Like obviously we're human, so like
Yeah.
it's not perfect, but like I can't think of someone that does it better that's a college student. Like I really can't.
That's so funny. I feel like I could think of a million people. Like I feel like I'm so like not good at that like at all. Like I feel like I'm failing at it.
You're not. You're not
I
at
appreciate
all.
that. It brings me joy that you can see that in me and that you can see me trying. So I appreciate it. I don't you know I see you trying too. I mean the fact that you have like kind of radically changed the way you practice yoga,
Yeah.
I think is really powerful and shows the way that you're seeking the Lord.
I think also just like my parents can see a difference. Like everybody around me has been like, oh, she's a lot happier. She's a lot like more level headed and
Right.
just like I think other people can see it, and I think the fact that I like recognize that I'm doing the work, but like and that
For
I have
real.
done the work and I am proud
For
of where I've
real.
gotten. But like I said last episode, I'm like an 8-year-old and I want to just keep going. Like,
Right, exactly.
which is like so I'm not as like amped of like practically doing this, but I have implemented many more areas in my life of like throughout my week of spending time in the Bible than I have all of college these past couple months. So
Yeah, real.
um yeah, like it's just been cool. And changing my view on rest has been a big part of that too.
Yeah, I kind of hit a wall to where a point where I realized like because I'm not finding time to rest, like it's coming out like on the people around me. And I kind of realized that last summer of like, oh, I'm being like unkind to the people that I love because I'm in desperate need of rest that I'm not giving myself. So, yeah.
Do you have any more notes?
Let's see. What else can I ask? we've kind of just, like, talked about all of this just, like, unintentionally, but I guess just really, like, practically, like, what are some of the
Yeah, we can do that.
things
We can go into what we
yeah,
do.
what are some of the things that you do, like, give examples of, like, the things
Okay.
that you do on your rest day,
Um,
and what you do before that to prepare for it.
so like I said, I've tried to make Saturdays my rest day because I don't work and I don't get up and go to church, and then crazy things with friends happen and whatever. And so I really try and be intentional of like doing all of my schoolwork by Friday,
Mhm,
even if I have to like not go to something Friday nights. I'm very like I have to get things done before Saturdays. Um Normally, Friday nights, I'll stay up a little bit later, but, like, that's because I know I can sleep in, but I try and go to bed before midnight just so I can, like, keep at least similarly with my sleep schedule,
mhm,
um, which, like, normally in a given week, that's me going to bed, like, between 10 and 11 and then getting up at 5 for most days of the week, to, like, work out and just start a good morning off. And, Saturdays, I enjoy cleaning, so, like, I'll normally, like, do some sort of cleaning around the house because it just helps me relax and be, like see that I'm getting a task done, um, or I'll hang out with friends. I will spend at least an hour outside if it's, like,
mhm,
even remotely sunny, and normally Saturday nights, I'm hanging with friends or, like, doing something,
mhm,
that I'm not doing anything that's like, putting in effort to produce anything. Like, with cleaning, I'm enjoying that because 'cause I'm listening to a podcast and just, like, it makes me feel good to clean. Um, and then, yeah, everything else is kind of just, like, I'll watch TV or, like, I'm low-key an iPad kid, so I'll play iPad games and listen to a fun like, a true crime podcast, or I'll take a nap, or I'm kinda just free to do whatever I wanna do.
mhm.
Um, and then yeah, I don't know. Um, read. I've been getting in last Saturday, I, like, read for, like, 4 hours outside and got a sunburn, and it was
You
just
did?
yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Or not last was it last
I
Saturday?
have no clue. I didn't even know you read for 4 hours anytime recently.
I think it was last Saturday. Um,
That's so awesome.
so, like, that's especially since the weather's getting better, I'm trying to just spend as much time outside as possible, and so, um, yeah. What about you? How do you spend your rest days?
For me, I read a lot too, normally, just because like, I've reading's just become a big love in my life, which is so weird,
That's
and it's
great.
become a big thing that I just love to do, and I'm like, "Ugh, I'm challenging my mind." Anyway, so either I'll read or I like to play my piano sometimes because that just brings me a lot of, like, joy and rest, and it's pursuing a dream that the Lord's placed on my heart of just, like, learning how to play the piano and,
I
um
think it's so cool that you're actually doing it.
right, like, he could have just, like, been like, "Hey, you should learn the piano," and I was just like, "Man, no, like, whatever,"
Like, the
but, like
summer we moved into this house, like,
yeah.
she was like, "I wanna start playing piano," and then, like, got one and started learning how to do it and, like, signed
The
up for
Lord
class, and
yeah,
she's doing it.
yeah. The Lord provided a job for me to raise like, to, save money to be able to buy one, and then the second that, like, that happened, the job started becoming taxing, and so I quit the job, and, like, it was just really interesting the way it all worked out, and then, like,
Yeah.
I just, by chance, was able to, like, get into this piano class that, like, a friend told me it existed at the university, I didn't even know it was a thing, like, it was just really cool. So I do that. And then what else?
Pancake breakfast.
Yeah,
A lot of
I love
pancake
hosting
breakfast.
things for my friends, and so, like this morning, we
We had a
hosted
sleepover with some friends last
yeah,
night.
and then hosted a pancake
Yeah.
breakfast for
It
our
was so
friends.
fun.
It was very sweet, and it's just I realized how much I was like, "Okay, I've always known my, like, my love language is like
I didn't
acts of
say that
service.
until this morning. We're trying to make me coffee.
Well, because okay, I woke up and I saw you weren't downstairs, and I was like, oh, that means she's still in her room. I was like, I want to have coffee ready for her before she wakes up.
I
know
appreciate it.
because I was like, she's about to walk into a room with 3 people. Normally, she wakes up and there's like no one around, and so
I'm
she
not
can
a-
just like drink her
Yeah.
coffee and not worry about it. So I was like, okay, I want there to be coffee ready so that like she can take her sip of coffee and then have to talk to people.
I love
That was my thought process.
It didn't get executed completely well, but
I tried, but I spilled coffee.
it's the thought that counts. And I like honestly like love you so much for that.
I love you too.
Like I can't like I wouldn't have been like I don't think I could be happier even if that did get executed well. I'm still because yeah, for people who aren't around me a lot. I am not a morning person.
Not even a little bit.
All like all of my roommates learned very quickly if she's not standing in front of the coffee maker and it's like it's full with coffee and she's pouring it into a cup, don't talk to me because I get very snappy and very like honestly mean. I'm working on it and it's not something that I am proud of.
Yeah.
But I can thankfully laugh about it because it's never gone too far where it's a problem.
No, you've never like
I've been a little
never actively said something rude to someone.
No.
You're just kind of like not super responsive.
I'm responsive and I'm also just like my tone can be very not what I mean when I am not fully awake and fully aware. Now, like it doesn't translate to if I take a nap, which is nice. But if I'm like waking up in the morning, then it's just it's not a good situation.
That's okay. We're learning and we're growing.
We are growing.
That's okay, and that's a good.
But I'm going on a trip next week. I'm going for spring break with a bunch of people.
I think that'll be really, I think that'll be really good at like teaching you how to like kind of be okay in those situations.
I mean, I can make myself be okay.
Yeah.
For like a week.
You're like, I would just prefer not to.
Yeah, it can't be a.
Yeah. That's.
I haven't gotten to the point where I need to make it like a consistent thing. So we'll see how that. I'll get coffee. I'll get energy drinks or something. It'll be good.
Anyway, so my love language is acts of service, and so I tend to enjoy to like invite friends over, find ways to just like do things with the people that I love because I'm an extrovert as well. Like I know that like being with others fills me up, and so it's a way that I can be filled in my day of rest. And then also like you and I try and spend time together on Saturdays as well because we know
our
like
day because we normally don't see each other during the week.
Not tons, no. So we like
which has been awesome.
Yeah.
How are you going to use spring break as a rest?
Okay, this is what I'm really excited for because I think it'll be really challenging of like I'm with a bunch of other people who are also believers of like we all love to have our quiet time with the Lord, and so I think it could be really good at like maybe we'll all be able to hold each other accountable in that moment. And also like we just have like all of this free time to do whatever we want, and it's not something we tend to have. And so I think making the Lord a priority in those times is really important. So I'm excited to like make that a part of like what we do and be like I don't want us to go do anything until like we've read our Bibles because we all can hold each other accountable in those moments. Or just spent doing something that like connects you with the Lord like as the first thing that you do in a day, just whatever that looks like. And so I'm like bringing my Bible with me, and I hope to have like a lot of time to just like rest with the Lord. And I know I kind of talked with one of my friends. She was like, I'm going to bring one of my old journals so that I can kind of like reflect on like what the Lord has done in this last year. And I think that could be really powerful too, because so much has changed in a year.
So much changed. Yeah.
So much. And so I just think that it like reflecting on like what the Lord has like done, the ways he's provided, the prayers he's answered, I think could be something really powerful to do for spring break as well. but also just like taking the pressure off myself. Like if I want a day where I sit in the cabin and I do nothing, and I read, and I spend time with my friends, and like
Yeah.
I think that's okay. I think it's so good, and I'm excited to be able to have the freedom to do that. So
Same.
yeah.
I'm going to the
What about
beach.
you?
I'm going back and forth on if I should bring my yoga mat. I think I'm gonna end up doing it.
I think you should.
I think I am going to just because I think I'm gonna use this week, spring break. Like, I don't know how much I'm gonna stick to it, but like of fixing my sleep schedule
Yeah.
permanently. Not permanently, but like a reset because I just have not had I don't wanna say I haven't had the luxury, but I feel like I haven't just because things have kept happening in our
Right.
house.
Right.
And everything's fine and everything
Yeah. It's just like
whatever. It's just
college.
life.
Like it
It's just
just
college
gets
life.
crazy, and like
Um,
sleep schedules are not normal in college for
No.
basically anyone.
yeah,
So
and so I'm trying to get back to that, and then yeah, I think I'll probably bring it. I think we'll all just because 'cause I'm going on a trip with a bunch of believers as well, and so I think I don't know, not a like, I still don't really have a quiet time set aside, so, like, it would be cool if I could start that. Um, but also, like, we'll be even being in the presence of believers is way more than I get on a normal
right.
basis, so I think
Mhm.
that's just gonna enrich me a lot
Yeah.
of me just, like, I'm not going to work, I'm not running around trying to get things done,
Mhm.
uh, I'm gonna just, like, lay on the beach and read and
Mhm.
just, like, have good conversation, which I'm
Mhm.
excited about. I'm
Mhm.
also excited that, like, I'm in a car with people I'm not super close with,
Right. That
and
can be really
so
growing.
I'm so excited for that.
Mhm.
Um
I'm the same way. Like most of the girls on this trip, like I'm close with like two of them,
Mhm.
but like a lot of the others I really don't know that well. And so I'm really
Same.
excited to like get to know them, get to know their stories, like with how they came to know the Lord, like how they're using the gifts they placed in life, because we all have really, really different gifts. Like
Yeah.
two of the girls are like super like creative, like photography girls, and like one's like doing that in school, and I'm like they're just using like their gifts so differently than like I'm using mine, and I
Yeah.
think it's so cool to get to like come together as believers and to share that and to know why, and to like just see the way the Lord is working in so many different lives and gifts and all of that. Anyway.
I totally agree, and I'm on the same standpoint of, like, the group that I'm going with is so, like, I feel like a mixed bag of, like, not normally people who hang out in RUF, and I think it's gonna be so fun.
Right.
Like, I am gonna be in a car for 12 hours, or 24 if we're counting down and
Yeah,
back.
that's so
So,
true.
like, I will be close with those 3 people,
Yeah, exactly.
and they're great, and it's gonna be me, 2 guys, and another girl, and it's just when I found out, I was like, "Okay, this is an opportunity." Like, I was so excited for the opportunity to get to
Yeah.
know these people better.
Yeah. I feel like that's huge in life. Like you kind of have to see everything like as an opportunity, and like
Yeah.
there's so many things in our lives where we've been like, "Ugh, this is horrible, this is awful." And we've had to like check each other of just like, hey, no, like how can you use this as an opportunity for the Lord?
Yeah,
And like I think that's really difficult to do and really powerful to do.
I think at least me, because I know you didn't know me, I was so pessimistic growing up,
Mm,
and, like, that's translated more to
yeah.
being a realist. I don't think I'm gonna be, like, an optimist going through life, like,
Yeah.
ever, but,
Yeah.
like, the fact that I've gotten to turn it around and, like, see the good and, like,
Mhm.
hope for the good
Right,
and see the
right.
opportunities has been huge in my life, and I'm
Right.
so thankful for that. But yeah, like, I'm
Yeah.
excited.
I'm so ready for this. I think I can see it in everyone around me, that like everyone is just in such desperate need of this rest, because I think school's just been really draining recently.
Oh, yeah,
And
I
so
would
like
agree.
having this time to like refill, rest, like not have to worry about things, like is just going to be so good.
I think it's
So,
just being junior year, because junior year,
mhm.
even in high school, is like this.
Exactly.
Um,
it's like a slump you gotta get over almost. It's
No,
like
for
the
sure.
hill climb.
It's
climbing the hill.
You're getting to, like, the last
Yeah,
leg of it, and
exactly.
then senior year, you're kinda like,
You're like,
"I'm on top. Like, I'm getting done."
yeah. And then the last semester is like, down, back down the hill. You're like, oh gosh.
Yeah.
You're like, now I gotta climb the hill of adulthood.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'm going to grad school, so hopefully I will have
Right. Same.
a little bit of a hill before the adult hill kicks in completely.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, yeah, I mean, are you
Huh?
do we have anything else?
Honestly, I kind of think that's it.
Yeah, I think we covered it. We
I
can
really think we did too.
If y'all have any questions, comments, thoughts, please let us know
Yes. Oh my gosh, please. I
of,
would
like,
love that.
commenting,
Mm-hmm.
or, like, DMing on our
Yeah.
Instagram page.
Yes. Let's close her out
Sunshine
with our sunshine and
and
rain moment.
You go first.
Okay. Sunshine moment. Getting recruitment counselor. Hands down, and like I got it with my little, which
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh
Mhm.
my gosh.
I know.
Yay.
So I'm really, really excited. It was something that just like I loved it last year. Like it was just one of my favorite things in the world.
It was
And
huge.
so I'm just so excited to get the opportunity to do it again. Um yeah. So I guess I give a tiny bit of context. Basically, a recruitment counselor is a girl who like helps like potential new members go through the recruitment process. So basically, I will be guiding a group of like 16 to 20 18-year-olds through the recruitment process for Sorority Rush. So I'm really excited. It's a huge opportunity, and I just like can't wait for it. And we found out this week, and so that was definitely my high. And I found out like in my chemistry lab with another girl in my chemistry lab who also got it. Yeah, it was really sweet. We like got the email at the same time, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, should I open it?" And I was like, "Open what?" And she was like, "Do I have Kai emails?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And I go running to my bag, get my phone, and I was like, "Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!" I was like freaking out, and then I was like, "I opened it, and I got it," and I was really excited. So it was really good, and she got it too, and I was like, "That would have been really awkward if one of us got it and the other one didn't." Oh, so I'm really glad we both got it. But so I'm really, really, really excited about that. And then my rain moment. I feel like this week, like even though it was a really hard week, there wasn't a lot of lows, maybe,
That's good.
which I think is really good. And it's really good to like see a week where like there may have been a lot of like difficulties through the week. And like, yes, I did not enjoy having to study basically the amount of a full-time job this week.
Yeah, that was both of us.
But like that wasn't like fun at all. But I still like am proud of myself for like getting through it and like for like the huge difference between this week and the last time I had like a major test week was like my reliance on the Lord. It changed a lot. And like the way that I like actually like, you can say over and over and over again, like, Lord, I trust you with this, Lord, I trust you with this. But it doesn't change until you actually believe it. So I think that was really powerful this week. I'm super grateful for that.
It's okay to not have one.
I know, like I don't think I really have like
That's
a big
great.
like rain moment this week.
My sunshine was last night, just being able to fully relax because I like had all my classes done. I had everything like
Yes.
I had all my things that I needed for this trip in this house. Um I Rain moment, my stress levels were so like I didn't have like a super low, I don't think, but I just felt my body not breaking down, but like going into overdrive because I was
Yeah.
so stressed, and I just haven't felt like that in a long time, or like not a long time, but a few months. And it was just not it just wasn't fun. Like it wasn't bad, but like it was
Right.
just like I had it handled, and like me my brain going into overdrive a year ago would have been a way different situation. So, like, I can see the growth in that, which is great. But I just, like, yeah, it just wasn't a fun week because I wrote a 6-page paper in 48 hours.
Right.
And it just sucked. I think the paper was good.
Yeah.
But
you worked so hard on it.
I hope so. If I got anything less, if I got a C or less, I'm gonna be so disappointed. Because it was just a weird form. It was a sociology paper. It was a weird format, and like I procrastinated enough to where like we've had this on the books, and he's been telling us about it for like a month now, and I just haven't prioritized it. So it's on me, but it's all good. Like I'm done going to spring break. Had a great night with friends last night.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thank y'all so much for listening. We are releasing this late because it was midterms week. So sorry about that, but
life gets real.
And we're not trying to. We're trying to be genuine and upfront. So like sometimes we're not going to stick to our normal schedule.
Yeah, and sometimes we're not going to record. Like today, we didn't like film. Like, sorry, we're not going to like record our films.
Video record.
Video. Thank you. I couldn't find the word. And that's because we wanted to genuinely talk about this, and we didn't have the time to video today.
No.
So, but we did have the time to record it because it still matters to us that we recorded this episode. So we appreciate y'all being understanding of that, and it's still going to get posted everywhere. So yeah. Okay. Thanks for listening.